In a quiet coastal town where the hills met the sea in a constant dance of tides and mist, there lived a girl named Amara. She was known for her radiant smile, her boundless curiosity, and a heart that held on to the magic of little things. Wildflowers that grew between the cracks of sidewalks, handwritten letters that carried secrets, and shared laughter on rainy days. Amara's days were spent at the local bookstore, nestled amidst the dusty shelves and the lingering smell of old paper. There, she shared her love of words and stories with the regulars, recommending poetry that evoked feelings long forgotten, and historical fiction that transported them to faraway lands. She didn't own much, her possessions simple and few, but she believed that a life rich in love was far more valuable than any material wealth. On a late summer afternoon, as the light filtered through the bookstore's windows in soft, golden beams, a man stepped through the door. His name was Elias, and he was in his early 30s, dressed in a faded hoodie and scuffed sneakers. His demeanor was reserved and thoughtful, his words quiet but kind. "I was looking for a book on baking bread," he said, his gaze flickering between the shelves and Amara's curious expression. She couldn't quite put her finger on it, but there was something about Elias that felt real, genuine. And so their story unfolded, each conversation a petal unfolding to reveal a new layer of their connection. Days turned into weeks, and Elias became a regular at the bookstore, his visits sometimes about books, and sometimes simply an excuse to spend time with Amara. Together they talked about the things that made their souls sing, the smell of old pages, the stories they'd read as children, their favorite kinds of soup on a chilly day. Their connection blossomed slowly but surely like a sunrise over the sea, creeping up on them with the gentle warmth of an autumn day. Amara didn't hesitate. She loved Elias not for his possessions, but for the goodness in his heart and the way he made her laugh. "Yes," she whispered, a smile tugging at her lips. "1,000 times yes." On a sunny spring day, in a garden suffused with laughter and the sound of waves lapping against the shore, Amara and Elias tied the knot. Their wedding was a simple affair, but it was infused with love, every detail lovingly chosen and treasured. They settled into a life of simple pleasures. They lived in a small cottage near the edge of town, where they woke to the sound of birdsong and fell asleep to the murmur of the sea. Elias often disappeared into his work, which he said was freelance coding. He was tight-lipped about the details, and Amara never pressed. Time marched on, the years passing in a blur of lazy weekends and quiet contentment. And then on the morning of Amara's 28th birthday, Elias appeared at her bedside, with a folded letter in one hand and a set of keys in the other. "Happy birthday," he said, his voice soft and playful. A strange, enigmatic smile tugged at his lips, hinting at a secret that Amara couldn't quite decipher. As Amara unfolded the letter, her fingers trembling with anticipation, Elias watched her with an expression that was a mixture of apprehension and fondness. The letter was written in Elias's handwriting, the words flowing effortlessly like a gentle stream. "My dearest Amara," it began, "I have something to confess." And then, like a thief in the night, the truth unfolded. Elias was not just a freelance coder, he was the founder of a tech startup, his company worth millions. He had kept this secret from her because he wanted to find someone who loved him, not his wealth. The keys in Elias's hand were not just ordinary keys. They unlocked a life of luxury and comfort that Amara had never dreamed of. One key belonged to a beautiful townhouse in the city, replete with high ceilings, lush carpets, and the kind of natural light that seeped into every room like honey. The second key belonged to a private library filled with first editions of her favorite books, their pages crisp and fragrant with possibility. But it was the third key that caught Amara's breath in her throat. Amara sat frozen, the letter a feather-light whisper in her hands. Her mind raced, trying to process the revelation that had been dropped at her feet like a fallen star. And then, as if pulled back to the present by an invisible thread, she looked up at Elias. There he stood, a portrait of humility, those same scuffed sneakers peeking out from beneath his jeans, his eyes alight with a love that had survived the storms of life. And in that moment, Amara realized that the man she had fallen in love with, the man she had pledged her life to, was unchanged by the revelation of his wealth. Elias was still the man who had walked into her bookstore years ago, asking for a book on bread. He was still the one who listened to her fears and her dreams, still the one who laughed with her at the littlest things. And he was still the one who loved her, all of her, for everything she was and everything she wasn't. And so, with a smile that could move mountains and a heart that had been born anew, Amara whispered, "The money is a surprise, but you, my dear Elias, you are the real treasure." Their story was a lesson in the power of love, a testament to the strength of a bond that had been forged in the crucible of honesty, kindness, and acceptance. It was a story of two halves of a whole, finally made complete,